You just got promoted, and now it's time for you to give an all-hands meeting. Your time to address the team and to say a few words of wisdom and inspiration. Well, what do you actually say? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what you should say when you get promoted to a leadership role, or if you get promoted into a new leadership role. Make sure you watch to the very end so that you can hear the big mistakes that most new leaders typically make and how you can actually fix them. Okay, so let's get right into some of the things that you should say when you are addressing your team after you've just been promoted into a position of leadership. Now, there are a couple common things that you want to make sure that you usually bring up. Now, I'm just going to briefly mention what some of those common things are, but that's not really the core focus of what this video is going to be about, as you'll see in just a few seconds. So what are some of those things that you want to make sure that you do bring up? For starters, you should talk about the vision and the direction that you have in mind for your team or for the organization that you are a part of. Where do you see things going? What are the goals that you are trying to meet? What are the goals that you have set out that you as a team or as an organization would like to come together to achieve? You want to make sure that you get all that stuff discussed. I learned something absolutely insane today. 96% of the people who watch videos on this channel are not subscribed. Are you one of those people? Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It'll take you 1 second. It helps me a lot, and you'll get access to more videos just like this one. Next, it's probably a good idea for you to share any observations that you have about the challenges or the opportunities that might be in front of you. So for example, if there are certain challenges, let's say they're macro factors, or let's say they are economic factors or cultural factors, it's okay to point them out and address that these are a couple of challenges that I see, but if we can overcome these challenges, the sky's the limit. Or this is the direction that our team has been going in for a long time. I see a huge opportunity over here, and if we're able to pivot, oh man, we're going to be able to make a massive impact. So talk about some of the observations that you have with both the challenges and the opportunities going forward. Another very common thing that you want to make sure that you bring up is that you are open and receptive to feedback, right? From the very beginning, you want to set the tone that you are creating a culture where you can be challenged, you can be questioned, and people can come to you with suggestions or ideas. You don't want to create that environment where people view you as the all-seeing and all-knowing leadership being. You don't want to be the bottleneck. You want to create an environment where you have that level of trust and psychological safety. So let people know that they can come to you for pretty much anything that they want to talk to you about. So let's talk now about the biggest mistake, and I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this, that new leaders make or that leaders make when they get put into a new leadership role. Okay, so what's that mistake? Now, let's say you are about to give your presentation, your all-hands meeting in front of your team. Let me tell you what most people do, and I've heard this many times. So they'll go in front of their team, and they'll deliver a message that sounds something like this. Hey, I'm Jacob here. I'm a first-time leader. I'm so excited to be leading this team. I know we're going to make a very positive impact going forward. I'm so excited about all the opportunities, and I know we're just really going to crush it. Now, on the surface, that doesn't sound like a terrible message, does it? I mean, I didn't really say anything that bad, but if you think about it from the perspective of the employee, what did I really actually do and what did I really actually say? On the one hand, really all I did is I acknowledged that I've never done this before, and then I tried to cover that up by adding some fluffy stuff, right? I've never done this before. I'm a first-time leader, but don't worry, everything's going to be okay. If you went into a doctor's office or if you had to get surgery and the surgeon comes out to you and says, hey, it's good to meet you. I've never done surgery before. You're my first patient, but don't worry. it's going to go great. We're not going to have any problems. You're not going to feel a thing. Just relax. I'm going to take great care of you. How's that going to make you feel? I can tell you how it would make me feel. I would feel terrified, and I would say, no, thank you. I'm going to get somebody else. Now, that's kind of the analogy of what that first message was like. Now, again, on the surface, it doesn't sound bad, but if you think about it from the lens of the employees, they're probably sitting there thinking, I don't know about this Jacob guy. I feel like I could do that job better than Jacob can. Why is he in this position of leadership? That's the big mistake. The big mistake is that new leaders, they focus on the vulnerability instead of adding in the competence. Now, this has been an ongoing theme. It's the subject of my latest book on leading with vulnerability. It's a topic that's come up a few times in some of these videos on this channel as well. Now, vulnerability by itself is not bad, but if you only focus on vulnerability as a new leader, then really you're not doing much to create any perception that you have that level of competence. So if that's not the right way to deliver a message, then what is? So let's take that same scenario. I'm going to deliver the exact same message. I'm going to have vulnerability in there, but now I'm also going to sprinkle in a little bit of competence. What would that message look like? Probably something like this. Hey, I'm Jacob. I know I've never done this before and I'm a first-time leader. I'm really excited to make an impact. I'm so excited to work with all of you. Now, here's what I'm going to do to make sure that I'm the best leader that you've ever had. So I've done a few things. Number one is I'm going to be meeting with Jane, who's the SVP of marketing. She's going to be checking in with me every week so that she can coach and mentor me. We're going to be going over my leadership style, some of my challenges, some of my approaches, and she's going to really help me so that I can be a great leader. Number two, I'm working with an executive coach. This executive coach is somebody who's going to be coming in every few weeks. He or she's going to be talking to you and interviewing you and collecting feedback about how my leadership style is impacting you personally and professionally. And number three, here are 5 leadership books that I've just purchased. I'm going to read them over the next few weeks. I encourage you to read them as well to follow along. And last but not least, my door is always going to be open to you for any feedback or suggestions of how I can improve so that I can better serve you. Now, that's a very different message, right? I was still vulnerable. I still talked about that I'm a first-time leader. I still mentioned that I've never done this before, but now I added in this level of leadership. So I'm committing and I'm telling you what I'm trying to do to close that gap. I'm explaining to you what I'm trying to do to be that best leader that you've ever had. Now that perception of me will change because no longer will the employees say, oh, I don't know about that Jacob person. Now they're going to say, wow, Jacob's a new leader, but he's really taking this stuff seriously. I can't believe he's doing all those things. I'm actually excited to work for Jacob now. He's really committed to this and he's really going to make an impact. And I'm excited to see where things are going. So when you add the competence to the vulnerability, it changes how other people perceive you. And I can promise you that it's going to increase your chances of success. It's going to help you get promoted quicker. And I think you will create a much better team environment built on trust, on psychological safety, where you connect with your people, but also where people trust you that you are good at your job. So the big mistake that people make is only being vulnerable. Instead, add the competence to that vulnerability and you'll see the massive impact that it has. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you tried vulnerability inside of your organization? Have you tried leading with vulnerability, adding the competence to the connection? And what impact has that made on your career and your life? Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. And if there are any other topics that you want to make sure that I cover on this channel, let me know and we'll get to that with my team. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.